Admiral Kim Dae-ho sat in his office on Earth's orbital command station, reading the same message for the third time. The words on the screen made his blood run cold. His hands shook slightly as he reached for his secure communication device. "Get me Dr. Park Min-ho immediately," he said into the device. "Priority 1. Within minutes, Dr. Park entered the office. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent 20 years studying alien species for the human government. Kim Dae-ho handed him the datapad without saying a word. Park read the message slowly. His face grew pale as he understood what he was seeing. "Where did this come from?" he asked. "Lee Soo-jin. She's been working undercover in the Galactic Council for 2 years. This message came through our most secure channel." Kim Dae-ho stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Earth looked peaceful and beautiful. Soon that might change forever. Lee Soo-jin had risked everything to send this information. She worked as a translator in the council chambers on Nexus Prime. The aliens thought she was just another human servant. They had no idea she understood their secret languages and had been recording everything for months. The message was clear and terrifying. The Galactic Council had been planning to destroy all humans. Every man, woman, and child in the galaxy would die within the next 3 days. The plan was called Final Solution Protocol in their documents. Dr. Park sat down heavily in a chair. The Vorthak Hegemon Thexvar is leading this, but look at these signatures. The Skarl Ambassador Veshtalk signed it too. So did representatives from 12 other species. Kim Dae-ho turned back from the window. "How long have they been planning this?" "According to Soo-jin's reports, at least 8 months. They've been moving their fleets into position slowly. They made it look like normal patrol rotations." Park scrolled through more data. "They're calling it territorial redistribution. They plan to tell the galaxy that humans attacked first." The Admiral felt sick. Humans had joined the Galactic Council 50 years ago. They had followed every rule and treaty. They had shared their technology and knowledge freely. They had helped other species solve problems and fight diseases. And this was how the galaxy repaid them. "Why now?" Kim Dae-ho asked. "What changed?" Park pulled up another section of the intercepted data. "They're afraid of us. Our technology has been advancing too fast. Our military is getting too strong. They think we'll become a threat to their control of the galaxy." Kim Dae-ho laughed bitterly. "A threat? We've never attacked anyone. We've never broken a single treaty. It doesn't matter to them. They see our potential, and they're scared." Park stood up and began pacing. "Look at these intelligence reports they've compiled. They know about our shipyards. They know about our research facilities. They think they know everything about our capabilities." The Admiral studied the alien intelligence reports. The Council had been watching humanity very carefully. They had spies everywhere. They knew about human military bases, population centers, and industrial facilities. They had detailed plans for attacking every human world at the same time. But as Kim Dae-ho read deeper, he began to smile. The alien intelligence was wrong about many things. They had underestimated human technology by decades. They had no idea about humanity's secret research projects. They didn't know about the hidden weapons or the advanced ships that humans had been building in secret. "They think they know us," Kim Dae-ho said quietly. "But they don't know anything." Dr. Park stopped pacing and looked at the Admiral. "What do you mean?" "Look at their fleet estimates. They think we have 200 ships. We actually have over 1,000. Kim Dae-ho brought up classified human military data on his secure terminal. They think our weapons are standard plasma cannons. They have no idea what we've really developed. Park's eyes widened as he saw the real numbers. They don't know about Project Deep Strike? They don't know about any of our real projects. They've been watching our public facilities and thinking that's everything we have. Kim Dae-ho felt a cold anger building inside him. They want to commit genocide because they're afraid of what we might become. They have no idea what we already are. The two men spent the next hour going through all of Soo-jin's intelligence. The alien plan was detailed and coordinated. Every human colony would be attacked at exactly the same time. The aliens would use overwhelming force to destroy human defenses quickly. Then they would kill every human civilian they could find. The Vorthak had provided the largest fleet. The Skarl had contributed their best assault ships. Even species that humans considered friends had secretly joined the conspiracy. The Zentari were the only major species that had refused to participate. "How long do we have?" Park asked. Kim Dae-ho checked the timeline in the alien documents. 72 hours. They're planning to start the attack during the next council session. They want to make speeches about human aggression while their fleets destroy our worlds. Can we stop them? The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Outside the window, supply ships moved between Earth and the Moon. Civilian transports carried families on vacation to Mars. Everything looked normal and peaceful. Soon, none of this might exist. "We can do more than stop them," Kim Dae-ho said finally. "We can show them what happens when someone tries to commit genocide against humanity." Park looked confused. "What do you mean?" Kim Dae-ho activated his secure communicator again. "Get me Fleet Admiral Song Ji-hai. Emergency authorization. And contact all department heads. We're implementing Protocol 7. Park had never heard of Protocol 7. "What's that?" "Something we hoped we'd never have to use." Kim Dae-ho's voice was hard and cold. "The aliens think they're going to surprise us. They think they're going to catch us defenseless and unprepared. They're wrong." The Admiral stood up and walked to his safe. Inside were sealed orders that had been written years ago by the human government's secret planning committee. The orders were labeled, "In case of attempted genocide." "For 50 years, we've been the nice species in the galaxy," Kim Dae-ho said as he broke the seal on the orders. "We've been peaceful and cooperative. We've followed their rules and respected their traditions. But we've also been preparing for this day." He handed the orders to Dr. Park. "Read these. Then you'll understand what we're really capable of." Park read the first page, and his face went white. "This is impossible. We can't possibly have this many weapons." "We do. We've been building them in secret for decades. We've been preparing for the day when the galaxy would turn against us." Kim Dae-ho walked back to the window. The aliens made one crucial mistake. They assumed we think like them. They assumed we would trust other species to always be friendly. "But humans have always been paranoid," Park said, understanding finally. "Not paranoid, prepared." Kim Dae-ho turned back to face the doctor. "Every human colony has hidden defenses. Every human ship has weapons the aliens have never seen. Every human soldier has been trained for this war." Park continued reading the classified documents. The scope of humanity's secret preparations was staggering. Underground factories had been building warships for decades. Hidden research facilities had developed weapons that could destroy entire planets. Human intelligence had been watching every alien species and planning for every possible threat. "The Council wants to exterminate us because they're afraid of our potential," Kim Dae-ho said. "They have no idea that we're already far beyond anything they can imagine. The Admiral activated the emergency communication system. In a few hours, every human military commander in the galaxy would receive their orders. The aliens thought they were planning a surprise attack. Instead, they were about to walk into the most devastating trap in galactic history. Sujin saved our species by getting us this intelligence, Kim Dae-ho said. Now we're going to save ourselves by showing the galaxy what humans are really capable of. Captain Cho Hyun-woo checked his watch for the 10th time in 5 minutes. The UES Defiance was moving through hyperspace toward Nexus Prime at maximum speed. In the ship's communication center, Lieutenant Kang So-young worked frantically at her station. "How much longer until we're in range?" Cho asked. 15 minutes, sir," Kang replied without looking up from her equipment. "I'm almost ready to break into their main communication network." Cho had received his orders directly from Fleet Admiral Song Ji-hai 6 hours ago. The mission was simple, but extremely dangerous. They had to hijack the Galactic Council's primary communication system and broadcast a message to every inhabited world in the galaxy. The Defiance was one of humanity's newest ships, but the aliens didn't know that. To them, it looked like an old cargo vessel. They had no idea it carried the most advanced communication equipment humans had ever built. "Sir, I'm detecting the Council fleet ahead," reported Navigator Lee Min-ki from his station. 47 ships in standard defensive formation around Nexus Prime. Cho nodded. The alien fleet was massive, but they weren't expecting trouble from a single human cargo ship. "Take us in slowly. Make it look like a routine supply run." Lieutenant Kang had been working on breaking alien communication codes for 3 years. She was the best code breaker in the human fleet. If anyone could hack into the Council's network, it was her. "Captain, I'm getting signals from the planet's surface," she reported. "The Council is in emergency session. They're discussing the final preparations for their attack on human colonies." Cho felt his anger growing. Right now, alien leaders were sitting in comfortable chairs, planning the murder of billions of humans. They thought they were safe. They thought their plan was secret. In a few minutes, they would learn how wrong they were. "Range to optimal broadcast position?" he asked. 8 minutes, sir," Lee replied. The Defiance continued moving toward Nexus Prime. Other ships in the area paid no attention to them. The aliens saw only what they expected to see, a harmless human cargo vessel bringing supplies to the Council chambers. In the ship's ready room, Fleet Admiral Song Ji-hai reviewed her speech one final time. She had recorded the message in 17 different alien languages. Every species in the galaxy would hear humanity's warning in their own words. "Captain, we're being hailed by Nexus Prime Traffic Control," reported Communications Officer Park. "Sang-ho." "Put them through," Cho ordered. An alien voice came through the speakers. "Human vessel, state your business and cargo manifest." "This is Captain Cho of the UES Defiance. We're carrying medical supplies for the Zentari Embassy. Transmitting. Manifest now." Park sent the false cargo information to the aliens. The Defiance was actually carrying enough weapons to level a city, but the aliens would never know that. "Acknowledged, Defiance. Proceed to Docking Bay 7. Cho smiled grimly. "We're not going to dock, Lieutenant Kang. Are you ready?" "Almost, sir. I'm breaking through their final security layer now." Kang's fingers moved rapidly across her control panel. "Their encryption is good, but not good enough." The young lieutenant had discovered a weakness in alien communication protocols months ago. The Council used the same basic system across all their networks. Once she broke into one part, she could access everything. "Got it," Kang announced. "I'm inside their primary communication hub. I can broadcast to their entire network." "Do it," Cho ordered. Kang activated the override sequence she had prepared. Across the galaxy, every alien communication device suddenly switched to the same channel. On Nexus Prime, the Council Chamber's main screen flickered and changed. Fleet. Admiral Song Ji-Hai's face appeared on screens across thousands of worlds. She wore her formal uniform with all her medals. Her expression was cold and serious. "I am Fleet Admiral Song Ji-Hai of the Human Space Command," she began. "I am speaking to all sentient species in the galaxy. We have discovered the Galactic Council's plan to exterminate humanity." In the Council Chamber on Nexus Prime, chaos erupted. Hegemon Thexvar jumped to his feet, his tentacles writhing in anger. Ambassador Veshtok hissed and showed his sharp teeth. Other alien leaders shouted, in their various languages. "We know about your secret fleets," Song continued calmly. "We know about your attack plans. We know which species have joined this conspiracy to commit genocide." Captain Cho watched the confusion on Nexus Prime through his ship's sensors. Alien. Ships were scrambling to find the source of the broadcast. They had no idea the signal was coming from the small cargo vessel they had ignored. "You have 48 hours to evacuate all non-human personnel from our territories," Song announced. "Remove your ships, your diplomats, your traders, and your spies. After that deadline, we will consider any alien presence in human space an act of war." The alien leaders in the council chamber were frantically trying to cut the broadcast. Their technicians worked desperately at control panels, but Kang had locked them out of their own system. "Captain, they're trying to jam the signal," Kang reported. "But I'm routing through 17 different relay stations. They can't stop all of them." On the screen, Song's message continued. "To the species that have remained neutral or opposed this genocide, you have nothing to fear from humanity. To those who have joined this conspiracy, you now have a choice. Withdraw from human space immediately or face the consequences." Ambassador Veshtok was screaming orders at his military commanders. Other alien leaders were making frantic calls to their home worlds. They were realizing that their secret plan was secret no more. "Some of you believe humans are weak," Song said. "You think we are a young species that can be easily destroyed. You are about to learn how wrong you are." Cho could see alien ships moving into attack formation around Nexus Prime, but they were too late. The message was already being received across the galaxy. "We have spent 50 years in peace with you," Song continued. "We have followed your laws and respected your customs. We have shared our knowledge and helped your people. This is how you repay us." On alien worlds throughout the galaxy, ordinary citizens were watching the broadcast in shock. Many species had no idea their leaders were planning to attack humanity. The message was causing panic and confusion everywhere. "You wanted to surprise us with a coordinated attack," Song said. "Instead, you have given us the justification to show you what humans are truly capable of. You have 48 hours. Use them wisely." The broadcast ended with the human military symbol, a blue Earth surrounded by stars. Then the screens returned to normal programming, but the damage was done. "Lieutenant, get us out of here," Cho ordered. "Maximum speed." The Defiants turned away from Nexus Prime and jumped to hyperspace. Behind them, the alien fleet was in chaos. Half the ships were trying to pursue them, while the other half were receiving urgent orders from their home governments. "Sir, I'm picking up alien communications," Kang reported. "They're going crazy. Some species are demanding explanations from the Council. Others are starting to recall their fleets." Cho smiled for the first time in hours. "Good. Let them panic." The council chamber, Hegemon Thexavar was shouting at his advisors. How did they find out? Our security was perfect. Ambassador Veshtok slammed his clawed hand on the table. It doesn't matter how they found out. The question is what we do now. We stick to the plan, Thexvar declared. So what if they know? We still outnumber them 10-1. We can still destroy them. But other alien leaders were not so confident. Counselor Mesharan of the Althari spoke up nervously. Maybe we should reconsider. If the humans are this confident, they might know. Something we don't. They're bluffing, Veshatok hissed. Humans are primitives. They're trying to scare us with empty threats. On his personal communication device, Thexvar received an urgent message from his military commanders. Human ships were moving throughout the galaxy. Colonies that had seemed defenseless were suddenly showing massive energy signatures. Something was very wrong. Meanwhile, on peaceful worlds throughout the galaxy, alien families were packing their belongings and leaving human space. Some species believed the human warning and didn't want to risk their civilians. Others were suspicious of their own government's secret plans. The Zentari ambassador Kolbeth issued a public statement supporting humanity and condemning the genocide plot. Several smaller species followed his example, but the most powerful species remained committed to their plan. They had invested too much time and resources to back down now. They convinced themselves that humans were weak and desperate. In 48 hours, they would learn the truth about humanity. It would be the last mistake many of them ever made. Engineer Yoon Tai-kyung stood in the massive underground facility beneath Mars. Around him, thousands of workers moved quickly between rows of gleaming starships. These vessels had been built in secret over the past 20 years. The aliens had no idea they existed. "How many ships are ready for deployment?" asked Dr. Han Yujin as she walked up to him. 237 heavy cruisers, 412 destroyers, and 63 dreadnoughts, Yoon replied, all equipped with quantum displacement cannons and molecular disruption shields. Dr. Han nodded grimly. She had spent the last 18 hours coordinating the evacuation of human civilians from border worlds. It was dangerous work, but necessary. When the war started, she wanted every human to be safely behind their defensive lines. "The evacuation transports are loading now," she reported. "We're pulling everyone back from the outer colonies. The families on Kepler Station will be the last ones out." Yoon checked his tablet. "The defense platforms around each colony are activated. Even if civilians are still there when shooting starts, they'll be protected." Above them, hidden weapon systems were coming online across human space. Every colony, every space station, every mining facility had secret defenses that had been built slowly and carefully over decades. The aliens thought they knew where all the human military assets were located. They were completely wrong. Meanwhile, on the border world of New Seoul, Commander Lim Jae-won was dealing with a different problem. His security teams had discovered alien spies everywhere. For years, trusted alien residents had been gathering intelligence and sending it to the Galactic Council. "Major Bay, what's the status on the spy network?" he asked his security chief. Major Bay High Rim looked up from her computer terminal. "We've identified 147 confirmed spies across 12 colonies. They've been watching our shipping schedules, military exercises, and civilian movements." Lim felt disgusted. These aliens had lived among humans for years. They had been treated as friends and neighbors. Human children had played with their children. Human families had invited them to dinner. And all the time, they had been planning genocide. "Are they still sending reports to their handlers?" he asked. Not anymore. We've cut all their communication links. But sir, look at this. Bay showed him a data pad with intercepted messages. They've been reporting that our defenses are much weaker than they actually are. Lim read through the spy reports with growing amazement. The alien intelligence was completely wrong about almost everything. They thought New Sol had only basic plasma cannons for defense. In reality, the colony was protected by quantum torpedo, launchers that could destroy a battleship with a single shot. They have no idea what we're really capable of, he said. Should we arrest the spies now? Bay asked. Lim thought about it for a moment. No. Let them keep sending false reports as long as possible. The more wrong information the aliens have, the bigger their surprise will be. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council was in chaos. Some species were pulling their fleets back from human space, but others were moving forward with the attack plan. The council chamber had become a battleground of shouting voices and angry gestures. Hegemon Thexvar stood at the center of the room, his tentacles waving as he spoke. The humans are trying to divide us with fear. We cannot let them succeed. Ambassador Veshtok nodded in agreement. My intelligence sources confirmed that human defenses are minimal. They have maybe 200 ships total. We have over 2,000. But other species were having doubts. The Althari counselor Meshran spoke nervously. If humans are so weak, why are they so confident? No species issues warnings like that unless they think they can win. Because they're desperate, Thexvar replied. They know we've discovered their aggressive intentions. They're trying to buy time. General Krexnal, the Council's military commander, was studying intelligence reports from the spy network. The reports showed human colonies with light defenses and small security forces. According to his sources, the humans were completely unprepared for a major attack. My forces are in position, he announced. We can begin the assault in 36 hours. The humans will be crushed before they can mount any effective resistance. But on the peaceful world of Zentara, Ambassador Kolbeth was making a very different decision. He had known humans for many years and respected their intelligence and determination. The confidence in their warning message worried him greatly. Recall all Zentari civilians from human space immediately, he ordered his staff. Something about this situation feels very dangerous. His aide looked confused. Sir, the intelligence reports say humans are weak. The intelligence reports have been wrong before, Kolbeth replied. I would rather look foolish than risk Zentari lives. Across the galaxy, other species were making similar calculations. The Karathi Empire decided to withdraw their trade missions from human colonies. The Betharian Confederation recalled their diplomatic staff. Even some members of the Council Alliance were quietly pulling their people out of human space. But the most aggressive species remained confident. The Vorthak, the Skarl, and their closest allies believed they could win an easy victory. They had numerical superiority and the element of surprise. What could possibly go wrong? On Earth, in the underground command center beneath Geneva, Fleet, Admiral Song Ji-hai was coordinating humanity's response. Around her, dozens of officers worked at control stations, monitoring the movement of ships across the galaxy. Admiral, we're tracking alien fleet movements, reported Captain Ryu Seong-ho. The main attack force is gathering near the Vega system, approximately 800 ships. And our defensive preparations? Song asked. All hidden installations are fully operational. The orbital defense platforms around every human world are powered up and ready. Our mobile fleets are moving into ambush positions. Song studied the tactical display. The aliens were positioning themselves exactly where human planners had predicted they would. Years of careful intelligence gathering and strategic planning were about to pay off. "What about civilian evacuations?" she asked. Lieutenant Colonel Nam Yun-soo looked up from her station. "Dr. Han reports 93% of non-essential personnel have been moved to safe zones. The remaining 7% will be evacuated within 12 hours. Song nodded. She wanted every civilian protected when the shooting started. The aliens might not care about innocent lives, but humans did. On the mining station at Alpha Centauri, civilian families were boarding the last evacuation transport. Many of them were confused and frightened. They had lived peacefully in space for years, never expecting their alien neighbors to turn violent. "Daddy, why do we have to leave?" asked a young girl as her family carried their belongings to the transport ship. Her father looked out the window at the alien freight vessels that were still docked at the station. Some of those crews had been friends of his family. His daughter had played with alien children just last week. "Because sometimes people change," he said sadly, "and we need to be somewhere safe." The transport ship was one of hundreds moving, human civilians away from dangerous areas. But the evacuations were also serving another purpose. As the transports moved toward the inner colonies, they were secretly deploying additional weapons and defensive equipment. Each innocent-looking civilian ship carried advanced military hardware hidden in their cargo holds. When they reached their destinations, human soldiers would unload quantum cannons, shield generators, and automated defense drones. Back on Mars, engineer Yoon Tae-kyung was putting the finishing touches on humanity's secret weapons. The quantum displacement cannons could tear holes in space itself. The molecular disruption shields could stop any known weapon. The self-replicating defense drones could build entire armies in a matter of hours. "How long until all systems are fully operational?" asked Dr. Han. 6 hours, Yoon replied. "After that, we'll be ready for anything they can throw at us." Dr. Han looked at the massive starships around them. Each one was more advanced than anything in the alien fleets. But the aliens didn't know that. They still thought humans were primitives with simple weapons. "They're about to learn what happens when you threaten humanity," she said quietly. In space around the outer colonies, human defense platforms that had been disguised as communication satellites suddenly activated powerful weapons systems. Space. Stations that had appeared to be simple trading posts revealed hidden missile launchers and energy cannons. The aliens watching these areas saw nothing unusual. Their sensors were designed to detect known weapon types. They had no idea how to recognize the advanced technology that humans had secretly deployed. On New Sol, Commander Lim Jae-won watched alien spy networks desperately trying to send updates to their handlers. But all their messages were being intercepted and modified by Major Bay's security teams. "What are you telling them?" Lim asked. "That we're panicking," Bay replied with a smile. "That our defenses are failing and our leaders are arguing. That we're completely unprepared for their attack." Lim laughed grimly. "Perfect. Let them think we're helpless right up until the moment we destroy them." The countdown to war had begun. In 36 hours, the aliens would launch their attack on human colonies. They expected to find weak defenses and frightened civilians. Instead, they would face the most advanced. Master Sergeant Oh Dong-min crept through the darkness toward the alien listening post on the moon of Titan. Behind him, 5 members of his Special Forces team moved silently through the rocky terrain. They had been planning this mission for 3 days. "Target is 200 meters ahead," whispered Sergeant First Class John Mi-kyung through the team's communication system. "I can see 4 guards outside the main building." Oh checked his watch. They had 18 hours before the aliens launched their attack. This listening post had been monitoring human military communications for years. It was time to shut it down permanently. "Remember, we need this to look like an accident," O told his team. "When the main attack begins, we want the aliens to think all their intelligence networks just had technical failures." The team moved closer to the alien facility. The building looked like a simple research station, but human intelligence knew it was actually a sophisticated spy center. Alien technicians inside were intercepting and analyzing every human military transmission they could find. What they didn't know was that all the important human communications were being sent through quantum encrypted channels that aliens couldn't detect. The messages they were intercepting were fake, designed to make human forces look weaker and less prepared than they really were. John Mi-kyung was the team's demolitions expert. She had studied alien technology for 5 years and knew exactly how to sabotage their equipment. More importantly, she had discovered something disturbing about alien weapons. "Sergeant O," she whispered as they reached the outer perimeter. "I analyzed the explosive devices in this facility. They're using human-designed explosives." O stopped moving and stared at her. "What do you mean?" "The molecular composition is identical to charges we developed 10 years ago. They've been reverse engineering our technology from captured equipment." This was troubling news. It meant the aliens had been planning this war for much longer than anyone had realized. They had been stealing human technology and using it to build weapons for attacking human colonies. "How much of our technology do they have?" O asked. "Based on what I've seen, maybe 20%. But it's all old stuff. They don't know about any of our recent advances." O smiled grimly. The aliens thought they were being clever by copying human weapons. They had no idea that human technology had advanced far beyond anything they had seen. The team reached the main building without being detected. The alien guards were lazy and overconfident. They never expected humans to attack a facility this far behind their lines. Inside the building, alien technicians worked at computer terminals, trying to decode human military messages. They were having limited success because most of the messages were deliberately confusing. John Mi-kyung planted her explosive charges in the power generator room. The devices were designed to cause a catastrophic system failure that would look like an accident. When the aliens investigated later, they would find evidence of a power overload, not sabotage. "Charges set," she reported. "Detonation in 30 minutes." The team withdrew from the facility and moved to their extraction point. Behind them, alien technicians continued working, unaware that their spy station was about to explode. On Earth, Admiral Kim Dae-ho was meeting with his senior staff in the secure briefing room. Around the table sat the commanders who would lead humanity's defense against the alien invasion. "Dr. Shin Woo-jin, what's the status on our special weapons?" Kim asked. Dr. Shin was a thin man with intense eyes. He had spent the last 15 years developing weapons that most people thought were impossible. "All quantum displacement systems are operational. The Planet Killer Ordnance is ready for deployment. The self-replicating defense drones are standing by." Kim nodded. These weapons represented technology that was centuries ahead of anything the aliens possessed. They had been developed in secret facilities that didn't officially exist. "And our intelligence on alien capabilities?" Kim asked. "Complete," replied Intelligence Director Lee Hai-young. "We know the exact specifications of every ship in their fleet. We know their weapons, their shields, their communication codes, and their tactical doctrine." The aliens had made a critical mistake. They assumed that humans thought like them, that humans would trust other species and never prepare for betrayal. But humans had been watching and learning for 50 years. Every alien ship that had ever docked at a human station had been secretly scanned. Every alien weapon that humans had seen had been analyzed and cataloged. Every alien military exercise had been observed and recorded. Their technology is impressive by galactic standards, Dr. Shin continued. But compared to our current capabilities, they might as well be throwing rocks. Captain Ryu Seong-ho spoke up from his seat. Sir, what about their numerical advantage? They still have 10 ships for every one of ours. Kim smiled coldly. Numbers don't matter. When your weapons can't penetrate enemy shields and their weapons can destroy your ships with a single shot. On the alien world of Vorthak Prime, Hegemon Thexvar was meeting with his military advisors. The room was filled with confident voices as generals discussed their attack plans. The human colonies will fall within 6 hours, declared General Krexnall. Our intelligence shows they have minimal defenses and no significant fleet. What about their warning message? Asked one advisor. They seemed very confident. Thexvar waved his tentacles dismissively. Desperation! They know we've discovered their aggressive plans. They're trying to frighten us into backing down. But not everyone in the room was completely confident. Field Marshal Kex Thol had been studying human military history and was concerned about what he had learned. Hegemon, humans have never lost a major war in their history, he said carefully. Every time someone has underestimated them, the results have been catastrophic for their enemies. That was against other primitive species on their homeworld. Krexnall replied. We have technology they can't imagine. Kexthal was not convinced, but he said nothing more. The decision had been made. In a few hours, the largest military force in galactic history would attack human space. Back on Titan, John Mi-kyung's explosive charges detonated exactly on schedule. The alien listening post disappeared in a brilliant flash of light. The explosion was so perfectly timed and positioned that it looked like a reactor accident. Similar explosions were happening across the galaxy as human special forces teams destroyed alien spy networks. Every listening post, every hidden sensor array, every secret communication relay was being eliminated. The aliens were about to attack humanity while completely blind to human capabilities. On Mars, engineer Yoon Tae-kyung made final checks on the hidden starship fleet. Each vessel represented the pinnacle of human technology. Their quantum engines could travel faster than anything in the alien fleet. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their shields could stop any attack. All ships. Report ready for combat, announced his assistant. The fleet commanders are standing by. Yoon looked at the massive ships around him. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Each one had cost more resources than most alien worlds produced in a year. But they would be worth every credit when the fighting started. In the command center on Earth, Fleet Admiral Song Ji-hai watched as reports came in from across human space. Every defensive system was operational. Every hidden weapon was ready. Every evacuation was complete. Admiral, we're detecting massive alien fleet movements, reported Lieutenant Colonel Nam Yoon-soo. They're beginning their final approach to human colonies. Song studied the tactical display. Over 2,000 alien ships were moving toward human space in a coordinated attack formation. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Our defensive fleets? She asked. All in position and waiting for your orders, Nam replied. Song looked around the command center. Every person in the room knew that the next few hours would determine the future of humanity. Either they would successfully defend themselves against genocide, or human civilization would cease to exist. But Song was not worried. She had seen the true capabilities of human technology. She knew what was about to happen to the alien invasion force. "Send a message to all fleet commanders," she ordered. "Tell them the time has come to show the galaxy what humans are really capable of." On the alien command ship, General Krexnal was reviewing final attack orders. His fleet was magnificent, the best ships from a dozen different species, all armed with the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. "Sir, we're losing contact with our intelligence networks in human space," reported his communications officer. "Technical difficulties," Krexnal replied without concern. "It doesn't matter now. We'll have visual confirmation of our target soon enough." What he didn't know was that every alien spy network had been systematically destroyed by human special forces. The aliens were flying into battle with no intelligence about what they would face. In 6 hours, the attack would begin. The aliens expected to find weak defenses and frightened humans. Instead, they would encounter technology beyond their wildest nightmares. Dr. Shin Woo-jin made one final check on the quantum displacement cannons. These weapons could tear holes in space-time itself. When fired at an enemy ship, they would cause the target to simply cease to exist. "All weapon systems show green across the board," he reported to Admiral Kim. Admiral Song Ji-hai stood in the command center as the digital clock reached 0. Exactly 48 hours had passed since humanity's warning. Around her, officers waited tensely at their stations. "All alien civilians have been evacuated from human space," reported Captain Ryu Seong-ho. "The deadline has expired." Song nodded grimly. Some alien species had heeded the warning and withdrawn their people, but others had ignored it completely. Their ships were still approaching human colonies, with obvious hostile intent. "Activate the hidden defense network," Song ordered. Across human space, defensive systems that had been disguised for decades suddenly came online. Communication satellites revealed themselves to be weapons platforms. Mining stations deployed, massive shield generators. Simple cargo ships transformed into heavily armed warships. On the colony world of New Seoul, Lieutenant Colonel Nam Yoon-soo watched as the first alien ships entered the system. Her destroyer, the UES Resilience, was hidden behind the planet's largest moon. "Enemy contact," reported her tactical officer. 12 alien cruisers approaching the colony at attack speed." "Let them get closer," Nam ordered. "I want them to see what they're really attacking." The alien ships were expecting to find a lightly defended farming colony. Instead, they found themselves facing orbital defense platforms that shouldn't exist. Energy readings were off the charts. Weapon signatures were completely unknown. Commander Zextal of the Skarl attack fleet stared at his sensor readings in confusion. "These defenses weren't in our intelligence reports." "Maybe the sensors are malfunctioning," suggested his weapons officer. "Check again," Zextal ordered. But the readings remained the same. The human colony was protected by technology his ships couldn't identify. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Colonel Nam was studying the alien fleet through her advanced sensors. Their ships were impressive by galactic standards, but compared to human technology, they were primitive. "Their shields are using standard deflector technology," reported her science officer. "Their weapons are plasma-based with limited penetration capability." Nam smiled coldly. "Show them what real weapons look like. Target the lead cruiser with a single quantum torpedo." The torpedo was a small device, barely larger than a person, but it contained enough destructive power to crack a moon. When it struck the alien ship, the result was spectacular. The Skarl cruiser simply disintegrated. One moment it was a massive warship with thousands of crew members. The next moment it was expanding gas and debris. The explosion was so bright that it could be seen from the planet's surface. The remaining alien ships stopped advancing immediately. Their commanders stared in shock at what had just happened. "Impossible," whispered Commander Jextal. "No weapon should be that powerful." "Sir, should we retreat?" asked his navigation officer. Before Jextal could answer, 11 more quantum torpedoes streaked through space. In seconds, his entire attack fleet was destroyed. Not a single alien survived to report what they had seen. Similar scenes were playing out across human space. Alien fleets that had expected easy victories were being systematically annihilated by weapons they couldn't understand. On Nexus Prime, General Krexnal was receiving reports from his attack forces. But the reports made no sense. "Sir, we've lost contact with Battle Group 7, reported his communications officer. "All of them?" Krexnal asked. "Yes, sir. 37 ships gone in less than 5 minutes. Krexnal studied the tactical display. Red markers showing destroyed alien fleets were appearing everywhere. "What about Battle Group 3? "Also destroyed, sir, and Battle Group 12 and Battle Group 15. The general felt a cold fear growing in his stomach. His forces were being destroyed faster than he could track. This was supposed to be an easy victory against a primitive species. Field Marshal Kexthol approached him with a grim expression. "Sir, I'm receiving reports of human technology that shouldn't exist. Ships that can travel faster than light without using hyperspace. Weapons that can destroy our largest battleships with a single shot. That's impossible," Krexnal said, but his voice lacked conviction. On Earth, Admiral Kim Dae-ho was coordinating the defense through the quantum communication network. Every human commander across the galaxy could communicate instantly, allowing perfect coordination of their forces. "Report from Kepler Station," announced Communications Officer Park Sang-ho. "Enemy fleet of 60 ships destroyed. No human casualties." "Alpha Centauri?" Kim asked. 43 alien ships eliminated. Defense platforms performed flawlessly. The pattern was the same everywhere. Alien fleets would approach human colonies expecting to find weak defenses. Instead, they would encounter technology that destroyed them before they could even understand what was happening. Dr. Shin Woo-jin monitored the performance of humanity's secret weapons from his underground laboratory. The quantum displacement. Cannons were working perfectly. Every shot created a tear in space-time that completely erased the target. "Energy efficiency is better than projected," he reported to Admiral Kim. "We can maintain this rate of fire indefinitely." The self-replicating defense drones were also performing beyond expectations. Each drone could build copies of itself using materials from destroyed alien ships. The more aliens attacked, the stronger human defenses became. On the Vorthak command ship, Hegemon Thexvar was in a state of panic. His tentacles writhed frantically as he tried to understand what was happening. "How are we losing so many ships?" he demanded. "The humans have technology we've never seen before," replied Admiral Kexran. "Our intelligence was completely wrong about their capabilities." "That's impossible. We've been watching them for 50 years. Apparently, they've been watching us longer." Thexvar realized that humanity had been playing a long game. They had pretended to be weak while secretly developing weapons that made them the most powerful species in the galaxy. In the Skarl Command Center, Ambassador Veshtok was receiving equally devastating reports. His species had contributed their best assault ships to the attack. All of them were being destroyed. "Pull back all remaining forces," he ordered his commanders. "Sir, Hegemon Thexvar wants us to continue the attack, his aide reported. Veshtok showed his sharp teeth in anger. Thexvar can sacrifice his own ships. I'm not sending any more Skarl warriors to die. Other alien commanders were making similar decisions. The attack was supposed to be a coordinated assault, but it was falling apart as species began withdrawing their fleets. Lieutenant Colonel Nam Yun-Su brought her destroyer out from behind the moon and approached the debris field that had once been an alien fleet. Her crew scanned the wreckage for survivors, but found none. Broadcast a message to any alien forces in this system, she ordered. Her communications officer activated the transmitter. This is Lieutenant Colonel Nam of the Human Space Command. You have witnessed the consequences of attacking humanity. Any alien ships remaining in this system have 60 seconds to jump to hyperspace, or they will be destroyed. Several alien scout ships that had been observing from a distance immediately fled the system. Word was spreading through the alien fleets that humans possessed impossible technology. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Song Ji-hai was studying the overall tactical situation. In 6 hours of fighting, human forces had destroyed over 800 alien ships while suffering 0 casualties. Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from several alien fleets, reported Captain Ryu. Ignore them, Song replied coldly. They came here to commit genocide. They can face the consequences. The quantum displacement weapons continued firing across human space. Each shot removed an alien ship from existence, leaving no trace except expanding energy. The aliens had brought the largest fleet in galactic history to destroy humanity. Instead, they were watching their own civilization being dismantled. Dr. Shin reviewed the performance data from the battle. Human weapons were working so well that they were actually exceeding design specifications. We're destroying alien ships faster than they can retreat, he reported. At this rate, we'll eliminate their entire invasion force within 12 hours. Admiral Kim nodded with satisfaction. The aliens had underestimated humanity in every possible way. They thought humans were primitive and weak. They thought human technology was simple and limited. They thought humans would be easy to destroy. They were learning how wrong they had been. In space around Nexus Prime, the alien command fleet was trying to withdraw to safety. But human ships were appearing everywhere, moving faster than should be possible, and firing weapons that defied known physics. Commander Mesharan of the Althari watched in horror as the ship next to his was simply erased from existence by a quantum torpedo. The weapon didn't explode, it just made the target disappear. All ships, emergency hyperspace jump, he ordered his fleet. But as his ships tried to escape, they found that human forces had somehow disrupted hyperspace in the entire region. They were trapped with nowhere to run. The 48-hour deadline had passed, and humanity's response was beyond anything the aliens had imagined. The species that had planned genocide were learning what it felt like to face extinction themselves, and the humans were just getting started. Rear Admiral Hong Sung-min watched the tactical display as his fleet emerged from hyperspace near the Skarl homeworld. Around him, 50 human warships dropped their stealth fields and revealed themselves to the alien defenders. Sir, the Skarl fleet is moving to intercept, reported Commander Kwon Da-un from her tactical station. 87 ships in defensive formation around their planet. Hong studied the enemy formation with professional interest. The Skarl had positioned their ships according to standard galactic military doctrine. Unfortunately for them, humans had written entirely new rules for space combat. Tactical assessment? He asked. Their shields are using rotational frequency modulation, Kwon replied. Standard plasma weapons, kinetic projectiles, and some experimental particle beams. Nothing that can penetrate our molecular disruption barriers, Hong nodded. The aliens were still fighting with technology that humans had surpassed decades ago. It would be like using swords against machine guns. "Begin the demonstration," he ordered. The lead human ship, UES Retribution, fired a single quantum displacement cannon at the largest Skarl battleship. The weapon created a brief tear in space-time that consumed the target completely. Where moments before there had been a massive warship with 5,000 crew members, now there was only empty space. On the Skarl command ship, Admiral Sekthul stared at his sensors in disbelief. "What just happened to the Devastator?" "Unknown." "Sir," his tactical officer replied with a trembling voice. "One moment it was there, the next moment, gone." "Weapon impact?" Sekthul asked. "No explosion detected. No energy dispersal. The ship just disappeared." Sekthul had been fighting space battles for 30 years. He had seen every type of weapon in the galactic arsenal. But he had never seen anything like this. "All ships, maximum firepower on the human fleet," he ordered. 86 Skarl ships opened fire simultaneously. Plasma cannons, missile batteries, and particle beams filled space with deadly energy. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The human ships absorbed the attack without even slowing down. Their molecular disruption shields converted the incoming energy into harmless light that scattered harmlessly into space. Commander Kwan checked her instruments with satisfaction. "No damage to any of our ships. Their weapons can't even scratch our shields." Hong activated the fleet communication system. "All ships, weapons free. Show them what real firepower looks like." 50 human warships opened fire at once. Quantum. Torpedoes streaked through space at impossible speeds. Molecular disintegration beams reached out across millions of kilometers. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist as the advanced weapons activated. The result was the complete annihilation of the Skarl defense fleet. In less than 3 minutes, 86 alien ships were reduced to their component atoms. Not a single piece of debris remained to mark their passing. On the planet below, billions of Skarl citizens watched their entire navy disappear. Their most advanced warships, their finest military commanders, their strongest defenses, all gone in moments. Admiral. Sekthul found himself alone in space, his command ship the only survivor of the battle. His crew stared at their instruments in shock and terror. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human fleet," reported his communications officer. "Put it through," Sekthul said quietly. Rear Admiral Hong's face appeared on the main screen. His expression was cold and professional. "I am Rear Admiral Hong of the Human Space Command. Your government participated in a conspiracy to commit genocide against my species." "Admiral, please, we can negotiate," Sekthul began. "The time for negotiation ended 48 hours ago," Hong interrupted. "Your species made its choice. Now you will face the consequences." Hong gestured to someone off-screen. Moments later, Dr. Yang Hyunju appeared beside him. She was a small woman with quiet eyes, but Sekthul could see the terrible intelligence burning within them. "This is Dr. Yang," Hong explained. "She developed our quantum communication network. She also developed other things." Dr. Yang spoke in a voice that was barely above a whisper. "Your planet has 7 billion inhabitants. They will have exactly 1 hour to evacuate to the outer system before we demonstrate what happens to species that threaten humanity." "Evacuate 7 billion people in 1 hour?" Sekthul asked in disbelief. "That's impossible." "Then you should have thought about that before you planned our extinction," Dr. Yang replied. The transmission ended, leaving Sekthul alone with the horrible realization that his entire species was about to die. Meanwhile, on other fronts of the war, human forces were advancing rapidly. Colonel An Byung-ho had deployed self-replicating war machines throughout the Vorthak Empire. The machines consumed enemy infrastructure and used the materials to build more of themselves. Sir, the replicators have taken control of 37 Vorthak industrial worlds, reported his aide. They're converting the entire manufacturing base to produce human weapons. An smiled grimly. The aliens had started this war with superior numbers, but human technology was turning their own resources against them. Every alien factory was now building weapons for humanity. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council was in complete chaos. Hegemon Thexvar's tentacles writhed frantically as he tried to understand how the war had gone so wrong so quickly. Field Marshal, what's the status of our forces? He demanded. Field Marshal Kexthol consulted his reports with a grim expression. We've lost over 70% of our invasion fleet. The humans are systematically destroying our military installations across the galaxy. How is that possible? We outnumbered them 10-1. Numbers don't matter when your weapons can't hurt the enemy, and their weapons can destroy planets. Kexthol replied. Thexvar realized that the Galactic Council had made a catastrophic error. They had attacked the most advanced military force in galactic history while believing they were fighting primitives. On Earth, Admiral Kim Dae-ho was coordinating the global counterattack through the quantum communication network. Every human commander could communicate instantly across any distance, allowing perfect coordination of their forces. Status report from Battle Group Alpha? He asked. Commodore C.O. Taehoon's voice came through clearly, despite being thousands of light years away. Skarl homeworld defenses eliminated. Preparing to implement Dr. Yang's demonstration. Vorthak Empire? Kim asked. Colonel An's replicators have taken control of their industrial base. Their manufacturing capacity is now ours. Kim nodded with satisfaction. The war was proceeding exactly as human planners had predicted. The aliens had walked into a trap that had been prepared for decades. Dr. Shin Woo-jin monitored the performance of humanity's weapons from his laboratory. The quantum displacement technology was working flawlessly. Every shot created a perfect tear in space-time that erased the target from existence. Energy consumption is minimal, he reported. We can maintain this rate of fire for months without depleting our reserves. The self-replicating systems were performing even better than expected. Each machine could build dozens of copies of itself using enemy materials. The more aliens they destroyed, the stronger human forces became. Back at the Skarl homeworld, time was running out. The planet's government had managed to evacuate only 2 billion people in the first hour. 5 billion Skarl citizens remained on the surface. Prime War Master Sekthul broadcast a desperate plea to the human fleet. Please, we surrender. We'll do anything you ask. Dr. Yang's voice came back cold and emotionless. You should have surrendered before you tried to commit genocide. Time is up. A single human ship moved into position above the Skarl homeworld. From its weapons bay, a small device emerged, no larger than a person but containing enough destructive power to crack a planet. The quantum displacement bomb detonated in the planet's core. The effect was not an explosion, but something far worse. The planet's matter began converting directly into energy, creating a chain reaction that consumed everything. Within minutes, the Skarl homeworld and its 5 billion inhabitants had been completely erased. Where once there had been a thriving planet, now there was only empty space and slowly expanding energy. The destruction was broadcast across the galaxy as a warning to other species. Several alien civilizations immediately began broadcasting surrender messages. But the most aggressive species continued fighting. They had invested too much in this war to admit defeat. They convinced themselves that humans were simply lucky, that their advanced technology had limitations. On the Althari, homeworld, Counselor Mesheron was trying to convince his government to surrender before it was too late. "The Skarl homeworld is gone," he announced to the Planetary Council. 7 billion people erased in minutes. We need to surrender now. "Never," declared War Minister Velthara. "The Althari will not bow to human threats." "It's not a threat," Mesheron replied desperately. "It's a promise. They're going to kill us all unless we surrender immediately." But the Althari leadership refused to listen. They ordered their remaining fleets to continue fighting, believing they could still win through courage and determination. They were about to learn that courage meant nothing against technology that could erase planets. Lieutenant Colonel Nam Yun-Su received new orders from Fleet Command as she patrolled the ruins of what had once been a major alien base. "Proceed to Althari space," came the message. "Demonstrate the futility of continued." Supreme Admiral Kim Dae-ho stood before the assembled representatives of the galaxy, his image broadcast to every inhabited world. Behind him, the burning remains of the Galactic Council building on Nexus Prime served as a stark reminder of humanity's power. "For 50 years, humanity lived in peace with the galaxy," he began, his voice calm but carrying the weight of absolute authority. "We followed your laws, respected your customs, and shared our knowledge freely. In return, you planned our complete extermination." Across the galaxy, alien leaders watched the broadcast with growing terror. In the past week, human forces had systematically dismantled their military capabilities while demonstrating weapons that seemed to violate the laws of physics. General Park Sang-wook stepped forward to address the camera. His uniform bore the insignia of the Human Liberation Forces, a new military division created specifically to free human prisoners from alien labor camps. "Today we liberated the detention facility on Kepler 7, Park announced. "We found 3,000 human civilians who had been enslaved by Vorthak industrial corporations for the past 10 years. The camera showed footage from the liberation. Human soldiers moving through cramped, filthy cells where human families had been forced to work in terrible conditions. Children who had never seen sunlight. Adults who bore the scars of alien torture. Devices. These people were taken from frontier colonies under the pretense of administrative processing," Park continued. "Instead, they were sold as slave labor to alien corporations. Their suffering ends today." Intelligence Director Lee Ha-young activated a holographic display showing documents recovered from alien government facilities. "This is evidence of systematic crimes against humanity spanning decades," she announced. The documents revealed a coordinated effort by multiple alien species to exploit and abuse human civilians, trade agreements that were actually slavery contracts, medical experiments conducted on human prisoners, children separated from their families and sold to alien research facilities. Every species that participated in these crimes will be held accountable, Lee declared. There will be no mercy for those who tortured innocent humans. On the Vorthak homeworld, Hegemon Thexavar watched the broadcast from his underground bunker. His empire was collapsing around him as human forces advanced through his territory. "Sir, we're receiving surrender offers from 17 of our colony worlds," reported his aide. "They're afraid the humans will destroy them like they did the Skarl homeworld." Thexvar's tentacles writhed in frustration. Tell them to keep fighting. We can still win this war." But even as he spoke, Thexavar knew his words were lies. The Vorthak military had been completely destroyed. Their industrial worlds were now controlled by human replicator machines. Their population was fleeing in terror to the outer systems. Outside the bunker, human forces were approaching the capital city. But they were not the primitive warriors that Thexvar had expected to fight. These soldiers carried weapons that could level mountains and wore armor that made them invulnerable to any Vorthak weapon. Dr. Moonjun Seo worked at his command station aboard the UES Judgment, humanity's most advanced warship. Around him, massive displays showed the current status of the Vorthak homeworld. "Atmospheric composition analysis complete," he reported to the ship's captain. "The planet's environment can be rendered uninhabitable within 4 hours using our molecular destabilization array." "Do it," came the reply. Dr. Moon activated the weapons system that he had spent 5 years developing. The molecular destabilization array fired invisible beams that broke the chemical bonds holding the planet's atmosphere together. Within hours, the Vorthak homeworld's air became unbreathable. Billions of Vorthak citizens fled to underground shelters or evacuation ships, abandoning the planet that their species had called home for thousands of years. "Let this serve as an example," Dr. Moon broadcast to the fleeing aliens. "This is what happens to species that threaten humanity." On Earth, President Choi Min-woo was preparing to address the United Nations and announce humanity's new position in galactic politics. "Fellow humans," he began, "for 50 years we have been the junior partners in galactic civilization. We accepted alien leadership and followed alien rules. That era is now over." The president gestured to a map showing human territory expanding across the galaxy. "Effective immediately, humanity claims sovereignty over all star systems within 50 light years of any human colony. Alien species may request permission to enter these zones, but they will do so as guests, not as equals." Foreign Minister Kim Se-ram stepped forward to explain the new diplomatic reality. Any alien government that wishes to maintain peaceful relations with humanity must accept the following conditions: complete disarmament of all military forces, reparations for crimes committed against human civilians, and submission to human oversight of their government. "What about species that refuse these terms?" asked a reporter. Kim Se-ram's expression remained cold and professional. "They will be treated as hostile powers and dealt with accordingly." On the bridge of her flagship, Admiral Song Ji-hai was coordinating the final phase of humanity's galactic conquest. Around her, holographic displays showed the complete collapse of alien military resistance. "Status report from all sectors?" she asked. "Skarl Empire, eliminated," reported Captain Ryu. "Vorthak Empire, homeworld evacuated, all military assets destroyed. Althari Confederation, requesting immediate surrender. Minor species fleets, scattered or destroyed." Song nodded with satisfaction. "What about the council leadership?" "Hegemon Thexvar is trapped in his bunker on Vorthak Prime. Ambassador Veshatok was killed when we destroyed the Skarl homeworld. The other council members are in hiding or have already surrendered. The war that was supposed to exterminate humanity had instead resulted in humanity becoming the dominant power in the galaxy. Alien species that had ruled for millennia were now refugees begging for mercy." Dr. Yu Kang-min worked in his laboratory, analyzing the genetic and cultural data of every alien species in the galaxy. His job was to determine which civilizations deserve to continue existing under human rule. "The Zentari have been consistently peaceful and opposed the genocide plot," he noted in his report. "Recommendation: Allow them to maintain limited self-government under human supervision. The Karathi Empire participated in planning but withdrew before the attack began, he continued. Recommendation: supervised reconstruction with severe restrictions on their military capabilities. The Vorthak and Skarl were primary instigators of the genocide plot, he concluded. Recommendation: permanent occupation and population control measures. Each alien species would be judged based on their actions during the crisis. Those that had remained neutral or opposed the genocide would be allowed to survive. Those that had actively participated would face severe consequences. On Nexus Prime, the surviving members of the Galactic Council had been assembled in what remained of their former chamber. Human soldiers stood guard as they waited to learn their fate. Counselor Mesharan of the Althari sat with his head in his hands, regretting every decision that had led to this moment. Beside him, other alien leaders struggled with the realization that their species' independence was over. "At least we're still alive," whispered Counselor Yexathara of the Betharians. "For now," Mesharan replied grimly. "But that could change at any moment." The chamber doors opened and Empress Li Su-min entered, flanked by human guards. She was a young woman, but her eyes held the authority of someone who now ruled the galaxy. "Former council members," she began, "you stand accused of conspiracy to commit genocide against the human species. How do you plead?" Most of the aliens remained silent, knowing that their guilt was undeniable. Finally, Mesharan stood up slowly. "We plead guilty, Your Majesty," he said formally. "We participated in a plan to exterminate your species. We accept responsibility for our actions." Empress Li nodded approvingly. "Your honesty is noted. Because of your cooperation, your species will be allowed to survive under human oversight." She turned to address the other council members. "Those of you who remain silent have one final opportunity to confess your crimes and accept human authority. Otherwise, your species will face the same fate as the Skarl homeworld." One by one, the remaining alien leaders stood and confessed their guilt. They had no choice. The evidence of their conspiracy was overwhelming, and they had seen what happened. To species that continued to resist, Ambassador Young Taiwan stepped forward to read the final judgment. "By order of the Human Galactic Empire, the Galactic Council is hereby dissolved. All member species will submit to human authority and accept whatever terms humanity deems appropriate. Former hegemon Thexvar will be brought to trial for war crimes," Jung continued. "Former Ambassador Veshatok died with his homeworld. The remaining council members will serve as administrators under human supervision." The aliens listened in stunned silence as their civilization was formally ended. The Galactic Council that had ruled for thousands of years was now nothing more than history. "The age of alien dominance is over," Empress Li announced. "Humanity is now the supreme power in this galaxy. We will bring order, justice, and peace to all worlds under our protection." As the broadcast ended, the reality of the new galactic order began to sink in. Alien species that had President Choi Min-woo stood in the Grand Assembly Hall of New Geneva, Earth's new Capitol building. Before him sat representatives from every surviving alien species in the galaxy. The hall was magnificent, built from materials taken from the former Galactic Council chambers. "Welcome to the first session of the Human Galactic Senate," he announced. "You are here not as equals, but as subjects of the human empire. Your species' continued existence depends on your cooperation and obedience. Foreign Minister Kim Se-ram approached the podium carrying a thick document. This is the Universal Charter of Human Dominance, she explained. Every species will sign this document acknowledging human supremacy and accepting permanent oversight. The alien representatives sat in uncomfortable silence. These were once proud leaders of powerful civilizations. Now they were reduced to begging for the right to exist. Article 1, Kim Se-ram read aloud. All alien species acknowledge that humanity is the supreme power in the galaxy and accept human authority in all matters of governance, military affairs, and interstellar relations. Councillor Mesheron of the Althari raised his hand hesitantly. Minister Kim, what guarantees do we have that our species will be treated fairly under human rule? Kim Se-ram smiled coldly. You have the guarantee that you are still alive. That is more than you offered humanity when you planned our extinction. Admiral Song Ji-hai entered the hall wearing the new insignia of Galactic Fleet Commander. Behind her walked a group of human officers representing the most advanced military force in galactic history. The human galactic fleet now consists of over 5,000 ships, she announced. Our technology is centuries ahead of anything you possess. Any attempt at rebellion will result in the immediate destruction of your homeworld. The alien representatives shuddered as they remembered what had happened to the Skarl homeworld. An entire planet and its billions of inhabitants had been erased from existence in minutes. Dr. Yu Kang-min stepped forward with his final report on alien species evaluation. After careful analysis, we have determined the fate of each civilization, he announced. The Zentari, who oppose the genocide plot, will be granted limited autonomy under human supervision. The Karathi, who withdrew from the conspiracy, will be allowed to maintain local government subject to human approval. He paused and looked directly at the Vorthak representative. The Vorthak Empire, as primary instigators of the genocide plot, will be placed under direct human occupation. Your population will be reduced to sustainable levels through controlled emigration to penal colonies. The Vorthak representative, a minor official since Hegemon Thexvar was awaiting trial, trembled visibly. His once mighty empire now existed only at human mercy. The remaining species will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis, Dr. Yu continued. Those who demonstrate complete loyalty to humanity may earn minor privileges. Those who show any sign of disloyalty will be eliminated. Empress Lee Su-min entered the hall, and every alien representative immediately stood and bowed deeply. She was young for a human leader, but her authority was absolute. She controlled the most powerful military force in galactic history. Be seated, she commanded, and the aliens obeyed instantly. I want to make humanity's position perfectly clear, the Empress began. We did not seek this war. We were content to live peacefully as part of your galactic community. You forced this conflict upon us through your treachery and attempted genocide. She gestured to a holographic display showing the galaxy. Large sections were now colored blue, indicating human-controlled territory. The galaxy is now divided into administrative zones under human control, she explained. Zone 1 consists of core human worlds and is completely off-limits to alien species. Zone 2 includes former alien territories that are now under direct human administration. Ambassador Zheng Taiwan stepped forward to continue the briefing. Zone 3 contains alien homeworlds that are permitted to exist under strict human supervision. Zone 4 is designated for penal colonies where dangerous alien populations will be relocated. The alien representatives listened in growing horror as they realized the scope of human control. Their entire civilization had been reorganized to serve human interests. "What about trade and commerce?" asked the Betharian representative nervously. "All interstellar trade is now controlled by human corporations," Jung replied. "Alien species may request permission to engage in limited local commerce, but all major economic activity requires human approval." Dr. Shin Woo-jin entered the hall carrying a small device that made several alien representatives recoil in fear. They recognized it as one of the quantum weapons that had destroyed their fleets. "This is a planetary pacification device," he announced, calmly. "Every alien homeworld now has one of these in orbit. If any species attempts rebellion, their planet will be rendered uninhabitable within minutes." The message was clear. Humanity now possessed the power of life and death over every alien civilization. Resistance was not just futile, it was suicidal. On the former Vorthak homeworld, now designated as Human Administrative Center 7, construction crews were building new cities designed specifically for human colonists. The few remaining Vorthak citizens worked as laborers under human supervision. Engineer Yoon Tae-kyung oversaw the construction of the new planetary capital. Where once had stood the Vorthak's greatest monuments, now rose gleaming human towers that reached toward the sky. "The atmospheric processors are working perfectly," he reported to the colonial administrator. "We'll have the entire planet converted to human standard atmosphere within 6 months. Similar transformations were happening across the galaxy. Alien worlds were being modified to support human colonies. The most beautiful and resource-rich planets were being claimed for humanity, while alien populations were relocated to less desirable worlds." Back on Earth, in the underground facility that had once housed humanity's secret weapons, Dr. Shin was working on even more advanced technology. The war had proven that human innovation was humanity's greatest strength. "The next generation of weapons will be even more powerful," he told his research team. "We must ensure that no alien species ever again poses a threat to humanity." The new weapons could destroy not just planets but entire star systems. They could manipulate time itself, allowing human forces to attack enemies before they even realized they were at war. The technology was so advanced that it seemed like magic to alien observers. On Nexus Prime, now renamed Human Command Station Alpha, the trial of former hegemon Thexvar was beginning. The fallen alien leader sat in chains before a human tribunal, his tentacles bound to prevent any threatening gestures. "Thexvar of the former Vorthak Empire," announced the chief judge. "You stand accused of conspiracy to commit genocide, crimes against sentient beings, and violations of galactic peace." Thexvar looked up at his human judges with hatred in his eyes. "You call this justice? You have enslaved entire civilizations." "We have prevented future genocides," the judge replied calmly. "Your species and your allies proved that alien civilizations cannot be trusted with independence. Therefore, we have removed that independence permanently." The trial was broadcast across the galaxy as a warning to other species. Every alien citizen could see what happened to leaders who threatened humanity. Meanwhile, on the peaceful world of Zentara, Ambassador Kolbeth was meeting with the new human administrator assigned to oversee his species. "Administrator Chen," he said respectfully, "my people are grateful for the mercy humanity has shown us." Administrator Chen nodded. "The Zentari opposed the genocide plot and helped evacuate human civilians. Your species will be treated well under human rule." "What will be expected of us?" Kolbeth asked. Continued cooperation, regular reports on your population and resources, and absolute loyalty to human authority, Chen replied. As long as your species remains peaceful and obedient, you will be allowed to maintain your culture and traditions. The E. Zentari had learned the most important lesson of the new galactic order. Survival depended on complete submission to human will. In the depths of space, human exploration fleets were pushing beyond the borders of known civilization. The galaxy was vast, and there might be other alien species that had not yet learned about humanity's dominance. Captain Park Ji-woo commanded one of these exploration vessels. His mission was to make contact with unknown civilizations and explain the new reality. If we encounter any hostile species, his orders read, you are authorized to use whatever force is necessary to ensure their compliance. There will be no more threats to humanity. The exploration ships carried the same advanced weapons that had destroyed the alien invasion fleets. Any species that challenged humanity would face immediate and overwhelming retaliation. Back in the Human Galactic Senate, the session was concluding with the formal signing of the surrender documents. Each alien representative signed with trembling hands, knowing they were signing away their species' freedom forever. This concludes the establishment of the Human Galactic Empire, President Choi announced. You are dismissed to return to your homeworlds and begin implementing human administrative policies. As the aliens filed out of the hall, they passed beneath banners showing the human flag, a blue Earth surrounded by stars, now the symbol of galactic domination. Foreign Minister Kim Zi-ram remained.